Hello, it's Luigi with Design Sky, and today we're gonna talk about die lines. Die lines with the D-I-E, not D-Y-E. So die lines are these mysterious creatures that are floating around the internet that somehow people think they should pay for, or other companies think that you should pay for them, when in all reality you should not, because they're very easy and very fun to do. In this video I'm gonna show you how to do them. After this video you'll be a die line expert, you'll be the die line maestro, the die line master. I won't say god because nobody's better than I am at die lines, just kidding, but you will get a firm grasp on what it takes to make a die line, which is very simple, very fun, very easy. So without further ado, here we go. The first thing we're gonna do is get a sample. Okay, so for this video I'll choose a simple box that I have laying around. It's not particularly pretty, but it's also doing its job. So after a while, after you get done with die lines or with this video and you start doing die lines more often, then you'll become a pro. And this is how your box is made. These are die lines. And there's two kinds of die lines. There's the die lines that cut, and there's the die lines that score. And these get marked differently. And the way that we're gonna mark this is either you grab a ruler with millimeters preferably, or you grab a caliper that has the millimeters on them. I like to work with calipers on millimeters because that's where I'm getting the packages made. I'm getting it made across the seas. I like to work with millimeters because that's where I'm getting the packages made. So this is 80 millimeters, right on the line. If you don't have this, then you could always just use a millimetric ruler, and it's about the same. So all you want to do once you have your package open is just measure it. Measure every line that's on your package. This is 80 millimeters. This is 63.1. $59.9. It's always good to just do a little bit of reference marking where the measurements, because you could just put them anywhere. And this is a little bit smaller. You thought I was gonna forget about this one, didn't you? 24.6. And the last measurement we're gonna get is 26.4. 26.4. So once your reference box looks like this, you're ready to take a picture of it and put it into Illustrator. So here we are on our beloved Illustrator. This is your basic 8.5 by 11 artboard. The very first thing you open when you very first get your Illustrator done. Okay, so and this is the picture we took of the box we opened. Very easy. So the very first thing you're gonna want to do is have two layers. One layer you're gonna name dieline, like this with the D-I-E, and then the other layer underneath the dieline is gonna be artwork. That. All right. Once you have your dieline and artwork, you're going to want to maybe lock your artwork and just work on your dieline layer. Okay, so the very first thing that we have here is a 80 millimeter by 63.1 millimeter. And the reason we're working millimeter is because overseas works in millimeters. Unless you're getting your package done here in the US, you're going to want to stick to millimeters, because otherwise they're just going to convert to, if you make your package in inches, they're just going to convert in millimeters, and it's just gonna be a mess here and there. If you're that onto details, if you don't care about the details, then do whatever you want. But working in millimeters is the way to go for any professional making these things done in mass. Okay, so the first one we have is an 80 millimeter by 63.1, and the way we're gonna do it is just grab the square tool, and we're gonna do 80 millimeter by 63.1 millimeter. If you didn't know, Illustrator actually converts your inches to millimeter automatically. You just gotta type in the right. You could also do picas. You could also do whatever other measurements Illustrator has. So that's our first square. This is where we're gonna start our measurement. This is bothering me. It's too. Let me move it. I want to have it like right in front of me. Okay, maybe on this side. Then the next one over is 58 by 63.7. So it's 58 long, 58.8 by 63.7. Oh, not inches. That's what happens when you put inches. Okay, so again, 58.8 millimeters by 63.7 0.7 millimeters. Ta-da! And then we just copy, put it right here. Okay, so it's the same measurement. It's 63.6 on both of them. I just double checked. So there and there. Okay, one of the things you want to do is probably take this off. If you have this magnet on, just take it off. All right, and then the next measurement we have is a 3.2. So it's 3.2 millimeters by 63.7. Check it out. Oh my God, again in inches. Make sure you type in millimeters, always in millimeters. Okay, then the next measurement we have here is 56.2. by 63. Okay, we have this block, this block, this block, this block. Okay, so one of the things that I want to tell you about is that you don't have to be all extra careful with your dielines, all perfection. And why that is because at the end of the day, you're getting a sample made from the factory, right? And they will correct whatever it is that they see that is wrong with your package. So in other words, if your package does not fold correctly, they will make it fold correctly. And these guys making the die lines are freaking experts at making die lines. They will for sure right away know once they see your measurements that you suck at it, and they will fix it for you. Of course, the closer you get to making the measurements correct for your package, the more professional you're gonna seem. That's about it. But at the end of the day, once you make friends with them, it doesn't even matter. They'll help you with whatever project you have going on. You don't have to overly stress this like a die line creation should be maybe 1 hour or 2 the max. Even if you're gonna do the last details that I'm gonna show you how to do, it shouldn't take you that long to make a die line. The only time that it should take you long to make a die line is when you are trying to make something special, something different, something that doesn't exist. And for that, I will caution you not to do it. I have done hundreds of packages in my career as a graphic designer, and every time that we veer out of the matrix, something always goes wrong. Something always is just misaligned. It doesn't look good. We chose the wrong substrate. It didn't came out looking as the client thought it was going to look, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of like a pain in the butt. So I will always advise you to go with the standard packaging unless it's like a minor change. Don't try to reinvent the wheel unless also you have a very cool idea. And by cool idea, I'm not saying a package like the iPhone or those kinds of packages or boxes. Those are not cool at all. Not for any graphic designer. But they're there. I'm not saying don't limit yourself. Also, don't say that, oh, I'm not gonna do that. Just be very aware of what you're doing. Don't think that because it looks good on your design, it's gonna look good in the real world. So now we have so that's 59.9. 0.4. Where do I get the 9 from? And then a 79.3. millimeters. Oops, did I? This is the other way. Then we're going to do this upper one, 63.3. That's the height. So that's what I'm getting wrong. So the width is the first thing that I have to do. So it's 82. Wow. 82.1 millimeters and 63.3 millimeters. Like that. Yeah. Okay, so this is the cover, judging by its size. The main cover on top. So this is the fastest and easiest ways to get these sizes correctly. Correct, I should say. And there's other ways you could do this, but this is just, you could just fly through a die line if you do this. With 78.5 millimeters, not inches. And then 59.7 millimeters, not inches. And copy format. Generally, die lines are in this kind of color of a neon pink. But sometimes this color you can't really see it, so you could choose a different color, like a blue or a dark purple. It doesn't matter, as long as you put it in the correct place, then it should be fine. So 26.4, and we're gonna do 26.4. Let's see what that looks like. What? That looks weird. That's my circle height though, so it was a radius. Like that? No, let's give it a little room to breathe. A little room to breathe here. And then just cut this shape out. Ta-da! And basically, you're done with your die line. Yeah, right. It's another one, but you have all the basic shapes and all the basic sizes. Now you just gotta concentrate on making it even, parallel. On the other side. So object, reflect. And I have one mistake here, that I ended up using both layers. You're only supposed to use the die line layer. That's your layer. This is the artwork layer that we don't want to work there. So now that you have your die line, you could either proceed to making it perfect. You don't want to have like these double lines. You don't want to have, want to have one line. You could either proceed to making this perfect, and by perfect meaning, instead of having squares in a professional setting, you should have dots where it bends. Okay, and the way you do this, there's two ways you could do this. You could either start cutting out where you're gonna where you will have those. For example, I could just let me see these two, and then put a line, change the stroke to dash line, and you'll do that wherever there is a straight line. Okay, another way to doing this is making another layer, change the opacity on this current layer. This is already overkill, by the way. You don't have to do this. And you want to have three little things. So you want to have dash lines where there's lines like this. Dash line. Just lower it down. You can lower it down to your liking. I've had the unpleasant experience that manufacturers think that these are holes and they'll cut the little hole out. So it really changes from manufacturer to manufacturer. Here, this is a curve. So we'll want to have this ellipse tool like this, but not like that. Take out the stroke. Oops, cancel. Take out the first. And like that. That's how you do those for the die line. This is just like really very much overkill and just being professional about your die line. So I'm gonna fast forward so that you see all done when it's said and done. This is basically you telling the manufacturer that you know everything about die lines, doing it this way. But in reality, you could get away with much less. Copy. And of course, another advantage of doing a clean die line is that your artwork will look a lot neater once you're done, and your client or your boss will be able to understand it a lot more. Where it folds, what it does, what's its name, all of that. Are always like they're never straight lines. They're always a little round blade that cuts. These circles, and just copy them up. Think. Open this. Let's get rid of this one. So if you click this little white select, single select, and you click on the line you want to delete, it'll delete that line. And we'll end up with something like this. Ta-da! Now to finish it up. So again, you could get away with something like this. It's the same thing, but it's always nicer to do it like this. It's always more rewarding to do a correct die line like that. And if you, this is die line. So on the artwork layer, this is your die line layer, this is your artwork layer. Now we're gonna lock your die line layer, and on the artwork layer, you're going to want to make your bleed line. Let's add a bleed line. I'll tell you right now that whatever you learn in school about bleeds is probably not enough. And I know that in my school they said that 0.25 inches was good enough for the US, and in Japan it was 0.116 of an inch was good enough. That is all BS. The printer will literally grab your bleed and extend it 5 or 6 inches. Don't know why they do that. I'm not a printer, but that's what they do. So what you want to do, the correct thing to do with your bleed is, if at all possible, have vector there on the bleed, or have a solid color that they could extend. And I don't even measure this anymore, but I like to give it like a good 1/4 of an inch in a solid vector. And the way I do this now is just make a square like so, and let's start coloring it with a different color so you could see. And we're gonna make another square here. Be generous. Be the generous person. You know, tell your printer that you're very generous to them by giving them a lot of bleed. Their in-house designer is basically just gonna grab this and extend the crap out of it. Like that. And don't be lazy though. Just because I'm telling you to give it a lot of bleed, or it doesn't matter, doesn't mean you should have ugly artwork. Make it pretty. Just like that here, and like that here. And now what we will do is grab all of this and merge it. So that is your bleed. That is your bleed, and it goes on the artwork. That way you could just fill it up. It does not go on the die line. The die line is separate from the artwork. Okay, get that in your mind. Let's say that we want to fill it up black. We would do this and get rid of this line. You don't need that line. Just like that. Okay, this is your black package, the front. Now, the last piece of information that I'm going to give you is that Illustrator has this very, very nice, convenient tool. I love it so much. Pause the screen so you can see the measurements that I have to do this. Okay, now that you pause it, you save it, and you start measuring. But not on your artwork, now on the die line, and you give it a good measurement. So you start measuring the more important parts of the artwork. Always have it on shift. 73, and then remember to check any crucial measurements. If your package is trying to fit something, make sure you check that and give it ample room of success. You don't have to micromanage the printer. Like I said earlier, they will more than correct your mistakes, but you can just, for looks, you could give it something like, this, and you could just keep going. Give it, you don't have to be redundant on the measurements, right? You have this measurement here, this signifies this. So only wherever the measurement change and you want to be sure that the printer gets it right, it's where you're going to add a measurement, right? Because they have eyes, they have tools also that they're going to be able to replicate this package. So only where the measurements matter, you want to add measurements. And maybe we'll do these little thingies. Oops. Sometimes. And the cool thing about that tool is that it's in another, it gives you another layer automatically where the measurements are. And there you have it. Now you know how to make a die line from scratch. Congratulations, you have graduated. So before I go, I want to go over this webpage that I have with free resources. These are completely 100% free, and if you're a graphic designer, you will probably use some of these things. These are completely free resources. If you go to I'm gonna put the link on the description of the video. But yeah, you come in here and then you click on wherever, free stock photos, free image optimization. This image optimization, by the way, it's like one of the craziest things that I've seen. You could just go to the link on down below and enjoy this. This is just something I have for free for all graphic designers. So there it is. That's everything that you need to know about die lines. I hope so, or at least you have a firm understanding of what die lines are. And I hope you have enjoyed this video. I won't say everything else everybody says, but this was my first YouTube video on design, and I had a lot of fun actually doing it. Maybe I'll do some more stuff, some more tips and tricks. Until the next video.